Hey there, hello everybody, and welcome to another quick reading. So this is about the general election, which we all know that has to happen sometime this year in the UK. When's it going to be? Now, they were originally saying probably the end of the year towards October. And you will remember I said to you that there was concern because it's at the same time as the US election, so it's a little bit too much for two sort of countries in the so-called Five Eyes to be having their elections at the same time. So that might not be on. Now, I was very interested to read it was in the Daily Mail, take it as you will, a story about George Galloway, who's running in a seat that's come up, a by-election up in Lancashire, and he's going to be contesting it on a pro-Gaza ticket. And for some unknown reason, this has apparently spooked Rishi Sunak and made him consider calling a snap election. Now, having a look at the timing in terms of the chart, I think there is a possibility that he might call an election at the end of March, and the election would happen then at the end of May. Now, you guys in the UK know elections were traditionally the first Thursday of May, so I don't know why they're not just going for that as a matter of tradition. But anyhow, he might call it late March and have it in May. As you know, the result's not really worth talking about. The way things have been going, people have just had it with the Conservative Party, and therefore they want to give them a kicking. But that's not really going to help because both parties, absolutely the same thing, except different spin. Right, so you're basically getting the same thing, but the media will play up different aspects of each to give people this false illusion of choice. Now, what was also interesting is we had Tobias Elwood. Now, he is the same MP that's been saying that Britons must get ready for conscription and war, and he was also on the 77th Brigade, which is a part of the army mainly concerned with surveilling its own citizens. And during the whole COVID era, as part of 77th Brigade, he was kind of implicated in the fact that many citizens of this country who were just doing their due diligence and just doing their research came on the radar and were being probably, I don't know if they were being wiretapped or their phone calls being listened into, but the government had them on the radar. So that's the kind of person you're dealing with, someone who's very into war, into surveillance, who's not very into free speech. He was doing the rounds on the morning show, sort of moaning about the fact that MPs are coming in for a lot of hate on social media. And he said, we just can't accept this huge amount, this barrage of hate and animosity being thrust at the MPs on social media. And I noticed he's turned his Twitter comments off. However, don't you notice that he won't leave Twitter? So he wants to be on Twitter to push out his propaganda, but he doesn't want to receive anything back from the public. They're governing from their ivory towers. Now, sticks and stones, he wants to conscript people, to send them to the meat grinder in Ukraine or potentially other wars, which they're hot for getting involved in, whether it be Iran, North Korea, Taiwan, wherever it is. He wants to send other people to be killed, maimed, psychologically scarred for life, but he's too much of a wuss to put up with some pushback on Twitter. Yes, it probably is robust, but at the end of the day, it's only words. Now, I notice Angela Rayner, who is a particularly bottom of the barrel, bottom drawer MP of the Labour Party, she was saying, she's scared to go out. Well, presumably because she's getting pushback. What do they honestly expect? They're doing an appalling job. In fact, if we lived in a fair world, they should be tried for something like treason for what they've done. In fact, they should all be on trial for something. The levels of corruption are utterly staggering. It's so blatant they don't even bother to conceal it. Everything's in the open. We've had the whole COVID era. Everything's been covered up with the WhatsApp messages, the putting people under lockdown when they weren't doing lockdown, plus a lot worse, as I've discussed, as Andrew Bridgen is trying to push back and the MP, and none of them are interested, except Rishi Sunak has now dropped the effective and is just saying the safe, but this doesn't matter. By this stage in a fair world, we would have expected, some sort of proper trial. But never mind proper trials, never mind the media providing the pushback, because the media don't do their job and challenge these people. I saw Rishi Sunak on a program and they all, tittering around him when they were doing a little bit of cooking and taking him to the kitchen. And no, wrong. I can't imagine Vladimir Putin going on to a show in Russia, on a cooking show, trivializing himself in that way. Running a country is a serious business. He is responsible for 70 million of us and for the management of the resources of this country and for being a safe steward of this country, which he is not being. Right? And this is the level of their mentality. They're just going to go on little morning shows and be asked little questions. I don't know, what's your favorite mayonnaise? That's the level of question a journalist is going to ask. So, of course, when they get some pushback on Twitter with some more serious questions, concerns, people showing we are really angry, the whole mass immigration, they want to, I think, is it nearly 2.7 billion extra they need now to house the migrants in the hotels, which shouldn't be happening. France have made it clear. The only reason the migrants are coming across the channel is because they are lured by all the excessive benefits they get. So all the government needs to do, never mind Rwanda, any of this stuff, cut off the benefits and they won't come. But, forget about that. They don't want any pushback. Angela Rayner's apparently very scared. So you can see the way this is going. It's all going to lead to more censorship and people being prosecuted for saying offensive things to MPs because they'll say, but it could lead to actual physical harm and violence if we create a climate where people are voicing concerns too strongly. So that whole thing is just going to lead to more censorship. Wanted to say to you guys, you would have seen the husband of Kate Garraway eventually passed away. For you guys who don't know, Kate Garraway is kind of a low impact, low intellect morning presenter, stroke newsreader person, just a bit of fluff. She probably sees herself as being like a top analyst and a high power journalist, but really not at all. Just a very average intellect that's been on TV far too long. Please move over and give someone else a chance. But anyhow, at the beginning of the COVID thing, her husband was ill with COVID, although other people have said he did have various vices that could have led to stroke or ill health rather than COVID. But I don't really know. I don't know. But that's what some people are saying. Anyway, he was the poster boy for long COVID. He was on the ventilator for an extraordinary length of time. He came out severely incapacitated. She was apparently looking after him at home, but then she also seemed to be constantly on TV, and she was writing a book and making a film. As you can see, an entire hoopla was created by the misfortune of this husband. And he eventually passed on of long COVID and COVID, blah, blah, blah. You can see the narrative they're weaving there. At the funeral, we have Tony Blair, Peter Mandelson, Alistair Campbell, Keir Starmer. I don't know if Gordon Brown was there. Cherie Blair was there. Piers Morgan was there. Elton John was there. Mylene Klass was there. Some other Labour person I'm forgetting the name of was also there. Now, he was, during the time of New Labour, one of the key spin doctors, and he's credited with being an architect of New Labour. He was actually sacked from the kind of Labour PR team at some stage because of some scandal. I don't remember what it was. And then he went to America to study to be a psychoanalyst and blah, blah, blah. So he's been around. But, the caliber of, I say caliber advisedly, the political caliber of people attending his funeral and the fuss that was made shows that, it must be very important. And, a lot of people say that when Tony Blair came in, that was when a lot of the things that we see now were put in place. So that government was even more nefarious than we could ever imagine. So you can imagine a spin doctor who was pushing out all the propaganda, what he was all about and what that whole clique is all about. That is a particularly nasty, rancid, treacherous bunch. And you saw them all there at the funeral. And obviously Kate is now going to be very well looked after because she might be given Holly's position. We can't let these people go out in the cold or go to sea because, she's got financial problems now. Because, what was happening to the money all this time? They obviously weren't doing too badly, But now, she's got to be looked after, whatever. So she must be given another prime spot in television. And I'm sure she'll use that pulpit to plug the old COVIDs thing again, won't she? It really is tedious.